Welcome to part 2 of the National Motor Camp in Tahoe, California. If you have not watched part 1, please stop, go back, and watch the first video on this. It gives you a lot of the background information about what's going on. Here we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So, as we were heading back from Tahoe, that's when things really started to fail. So here we are in the 1920 Studebaker, and as you can see, it's just crawling. This was going up Kit Carson Pass. The vacuum tank was just giving out left and right. It would get a few miles, maybe a half mile even, and then it would give out, and we'd have to wait and let it refill again. So it was a struggle. It was a real struggle when there was a lot of traffic, but the scenery was just amazing. It was gorgeous, and we were really enjoying ourselves, even with the trouble.
Pretty place to be stuck, though.
Not really stuck.
Yeah, we're not stuck. Just gotta let it refill.
I wish there was a shade tree that was taller than me.
Right.
Never quite sure how long it would sit there and do its thing.
That wasn't long enough.
That was me. Stuck. Soft shit.
Now on this pull-off, we got stuck in soft gravel. It looked solid, but in reality, it wasn't. It was dry, but it was just deep, soft sediment. So we eventually did get it moving again, but it was a struggle.
Because you hear it snap when I get on the throttle.
And again, we didn't make it very far on what the tank had built up, but it started to pick up. It needs the vacuum from the engine to pick up the fuel. And so it kind of lugs a little bit as it's trying to get things going.
So we're halfway up the Carson grade, and we stopped a minute and let the car cool off. We're working with a vacuum tank, on a Stewart vacuum system on this car, and it has to use pullouts. The road doesn't have a lot of pullouts, so the road's a little slower for us. But we'll run 2 or 3 miles, pull over and let it idle, let the vacuum tank pick up fuel again, and then proceed. It just means travel in the Sierras was much slower in the 1920s. That's your point down. Everything rattles loose, so it's part of the game. We're making shifts and changes. You're always adjusting your points forever, it seemed like. Come on, there you go, there he is. I mean, Studebaker's toolkit even included a double-ended socket you used with your open-end wrenches to tighten up rod bearings. Take out shims. There's that. Get down between lines. Maybe. That's okay. That's idle. Little screwdriver. Start it back up. Oh, this will help. Don't have to, but it helps.
Sounds good. So what do we have here?
The points adjustment definitely made a difference. You know, these cars vibrate and stuff gets out of whack. So that made a difference, and the vacuum tank was picking up real nicely. So we continued on up Carson Spur, and eventually, with much effort, the old car made it all the way to the top.
Like a man. And we made it!
From this point on, she ran like a champ. A lot of that's because we were heading downhill and not pulling a lot of hard grades, so the car wasn't using as much fuel and the vacuum tank could keep up. So we really enjoyed this part of the drive. It was just gorgeous. Driving past lakes, the weather was gorgeous, and everything was performing exactly the way it should. Once we got up onto Mormon Immigrant Trail on our way back towards Sacramento, we started to really open it up. The car was running great, and we just wanted to kind of see what it could do. And Ethan was all about putting this car through its paces, and we were all really excited because it was running really, really good. Finally had everything tuned, and it was rocking and rolling. Now around this point, we were really putting the steam on. The road was good, it was empty, and the speedometer doesn't work in this car, but we estimated that we were doing at least 65 miles an hour in this car. And then... Suddenly, the car went from sounding like a well-oiled sewing machine to sounding like a diesel tractor. It was really knocking bad. And later on, Ethan explained that about this time, the oil pressure had suddenly dropped. Most likely, with all the pressure, it got starved for oil towards the rear. In the end, it ended up being just a rod bearing and no further damage to the engine. So that was good, but boy, what an experience that was. And it's the sort of thing they would have dealt with too, back in that time, 100 years ago. So we ended up coasting down the mountainside, and it worked out fairly well. So about this time, Ethan had shut off the engine, and we were just kind of coasting down the mountainside. And it worked fairly well. We ended up coasting for several miles before we ended up losing enough steam, and also found a really good pull-off, and Ethan ended up pulling it in. I know it's hard to hear with all the wind noise around the camera, but it was actually very, very quiet. We had the engine off, and we're just rolling down the hill, and We couldn't hear the wind the way you can through the camera, so it was really just silent with nothing but the rattle of the suspension.
Right. Just coasting down the mountainside. And we were running at a pretty good clip there, and it seemed like something sounded a little different. And then it sounded a lot different. Yeah. Definitely something not right. Yeah, rod or bearing or something. I don't think it's anything. Okay. I've got it. Yeah. Right. Right. It's not like a Model T where we can just throw a piece of leather, put part of your belt in there. And you couldn't do this with a modern car. No, you wouldn't have any, braking or anything, yeah. Cool. Now, this is a true 20th century adventure right here. So Ethan, tell me why you love this hobby. I'm a sadist. Yeah, look at the bright side. Our faces aren't covered in oil or anything. It could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
That's my transmission I'm talking to. Let's see what it sounds like if I start it back up. I probably don't want to know, but let's see what it's got.
That doesn't sound good.
Oh!
So what Ethan is doing right here is he's opening each of the priming cups that this car is equipped with. These were designed that you could pour a little bit of gasoline into each cylinder to help get it started on a cold day or something like that. Now, by opening these up, he's opening the compression of the cylinder while it's running. So that hissing sound that you hear is the compression inside the cylinder. So he's checking to make sure that each cylinder has compression, and of course they did. That's how we kind of knew that it was a rod cap bearing rather than something actually wrong inside the cylinder.
The compression isn't changing.
Yep.
Shock pipe before.
Sounds like a diesel tractor.
So here's where things start to get real sketchy. So our chase truck caught up with us, and we decided to try to tow the car to the next campsite. We were literally 5 miles from our campsite when this happened. So really, we were almost there. Now I ended up getting voluntold to drive the chase truck towing because nobody else was comfortable with it. And what we found out was that in order to keep up speed and keep the Studebaker from rear-ending the truck, we were ending up burning up the brakes going up and down these hills. The Studebaker was getting really hot on the brakes, and it was becoming quite a disaster. And of course, you know, we're in a fire zone area, and there's so much heat that those bands were glowing, and we really didn't want to risk setting something on fire. So we tried making some adjustments, tried different driving styles, whether going faster or slower didn't seem to help. We still ended up smoking those brakes.
Okay.
So finally we found a pull-off that looked like a good spot to actually stash the car for a couple of hours. There was absolutely no way we were going to make it the rest of the way in. And so we had to go get a trailer and come back and pick up the car. She did make it up on the trailer on her own power, we will say that.
That's definitely a broad.
Finally, after a long day, we made it to the last camping site for our gypsy camp. This was Sunday evening. We were quite exhausted, and it was nice just to sit back and relax a little bit. The next morning, we kind of had a slow start. It was an opportunity for some personal time. I hadn't shaved in a couple of days at this point, and desperately needed to do so. So there was time to get all these things done and eat a slow breakfast. It was kind of nice to just kind of not be rushing to get out the door. This neat little neckerchief bolo was presented to me by the organizers of the event. It's really cool. It's actually just a knot hole out of a western red cedar log, where the inside of the hole is gone and the outside of the hole is gone, leaving just a perfect little ring around where the knot was. Made a great neckerchief bolo.
Bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good.
Why is the bacon so tough? There's nothing like leather, they say. This bacon's the stuff for your household repair. The soles of your boots and the seats of your chair. But what made you think it was bacon? I can't get...
Finally, it was time to get on the road. However, this time it was Linus's turn to have issues with the car. This is where his 31 Model A started to struggle. This was the site of a stagecoach robbery that happened in the mid-19th century. Bars of gold were stolen from the stagecoach. Now in this section, we are actually driving on the original Lincoln Highway. And this is a portion of it that has not been improved or widened. It's actually a spot where it's cut off, so it's kind of a dead end back there. But this section of the Lincoln Highway is what it would have looked like 100 years ago. So super duper cool.
Yeah, this is about as close as you're going to get to time travel.
Yeah.
Almost no traffic, the right cars on the right road. So you have the 1914 concrete, you have the 2-foot strip, which was the widening done for WPA in 29, and in 31 they came through and pushed it to full 2 lanes. Where you see pullouts going up Highway 50 today are still original Lincoln Highway alignment pullouts. They've just left them on the side of the road so people can pull off. It's a restaurant now. Originally that was the Pony Express site.
So this was our Old West History Day, and we did a lot of traveling. Of course, we started out the morning seeing the stagecoach robbery site, and then continued on to Coloma, where gold was first found in California in 1849. This is a reconstruction of Sutter's Mill. So this is something I highly recommend checking out if you ever get the chance, because this is a really cool site.
Powder up the noses, someone's gotta pay. Now happy little gold diggers, each and every one, stay in the hay all day to dodge the sun. They all sing, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, dear. Don't mind if he's old, dig and you'll find gold. Take a little shovel, dig a little hovel on Fifth Avenue. Riverside will do, a place in the country too. Go find some check collector in some cabaret, out where each wife neglector throws his dough away. Dig a little deeper, don't mean any wrong. Just a lot of good kids trying to get along. Tell him strings of pearls will comfort little girls. Use those taking ways, you'll find that it always pays. Just give your smiles to someone who can come across.
This is the James Marshall Monument overlooking Coloma, California. James Marshall was the first one to find gold, January 24th of 1848. And this monument was erected in 1887, and supposedly James Marshall is buried underneath of it. So, really cool site. This is definitely something that people would have gone to see in their automobiles. It's actually on California's shortest highway, which was designed to take people, tourists, up to the site. So this is definitely something they would have done 100 years ago.
Have to push it. Have to push it. No go.
And as we were leaving, Linus's electrical problem reared its ugly head again. The battery wasn't charging and it was getting run down. So we ended up having to use alternate means to get the car running.
I knew this was Studebaker. No one knew that made that
We've actually found something on this trip that is slower than us going uphill. Modern garbage truck.
We stopped at this great fruit orchard and bought some fresh fruit. This orchard has been in operation since 1915. So this is a place that people probably would have stopped to get fresh fruit 100 years ago as well. Finally, it was time to actually head back home, and there was one last adventure left for us. The Model A, heavily loaded with a heavy trailer, couldn't quite make it out.
Uh-oh, shit. Sorry, Linus. I'm already all the way down, too.
A lot of this is because we just didn't start with enough steam going uphill. If we had kept the momentum, would have been all right. But having lost momentum and being stuck on the hill, it just wasn't gonna do it. Also, by this point, this Model A was having trouble starting, and the battery was dead. Finally, Ethan got the whole thing back down and took a new running start at the hill and made it all the way up. Finally, we made it back to Jen and Ethan's house, where we would all separate and go our own ways. It was an amazing experience. We have so many wonderful memories from this fantastic adventure in the Sierras. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you down the road.